Okay, going live. So, let me see if I can learn how to turn this on again. This isn't my data pad, so I don't know. Alright. Hold on. Let's just get set up real quick. Okay. I ask you to bear with me because I may have a cold. I'm not sure if it's cold or allergies. Who knows? Alright, so we're on chapter 9 of Space Force. Give me a moment. I have chapped lips, which has actually um, made my lips very less uh, flexible, I guess. I'm more likely to slur more due to chapped lips and not using chapstick. I'm hopefully drinking every now and then will help. All right. So we're on chapter 9. Chapter 9, Stone. The theme song to Chariots of Fire rears its ugly head from the abyss of my childhood, playing in my head during our Transbridge run. Wait a minute. Transbridge run. So the bridge doesn't identify as a bridge, or someone identifies as a bridge? I'm curious about that one. Alright, maybe it's actually... Maybe it's not a bridge. Maybe it's a boat that identifies as a bridge, or whatever. Anyway, I refrain from humming that shit aloud because if we survive what comes next, I'm sure as hell selling my story to Hollywood. Who knows how much those song rights cost? Also, I kind of want the world to think I'm the kind of guy whose go-to inspirational running song is something like something by DMX. At the very least, I have the tiger. I mean, I don't really remember that much about Chariots of Fire. Just an image of someone running on a sandy beach and the theme song playing. I think it was the movie's final scene. I might have been and might have been inspirational at the time, but I want to be relevant, man. Not some geriatric jogger in the 70s tight shorts. I try to shift gears into another song and end up with fucking Footloose. Screw it. Kevin Bacon is still the best man to be 6 degrees from. As the lyrics flow through my thoughts, I cut loose across the bridge, which has begun to sway in a stiff breeze. The air inside the massive force field is being disturbed from above, swirling into a column of air that's not quite a hurricane, but not exactly gentle on the wounded structure. What theme song are you running to? I asked Taylor. He's chugging along beside me, a little sweat on his brow, but still hauling ass. We go for a run every morning, so this is nothing new. Neither of us like earbuds, so we end up running in silence, listening to the music in our heads. Incidentally, if you use earbuds, just so you know, you're damaging your hearing. You're probably going to go deaf when you're older. Just so you know. Also, if you're wearing earbuds, chances are you can't hear those around you, which means you've basically encapsulated yourself like in a little bubble, and that means you're less likely to hear those around you, and that's a real safety issue. I bring this up because I encounter too many people like that, usually customers, in their own little bubbles, and so when I have something heavy on wheels around them, and I try to warn them, hey, I'm right behind you, they don't generally pay attention because they have isolated themselves from reality and end up bumping into it anyway, or very nearly so. But I digress, which I'm prone to do. Spider-Man, he says. Like the movie soundtrack? Nah, man, the original cartoon. The soundtrack in my mind flips to the iconic music Much better, muchos gracias. De nada, he says and glances back. The bridge groans behind us, close to giving out. Taylor and I have reached the safety of the massive pylons holding aloft the island portion of the suspension bridge. If the dangling portion goes, the part beneath us will remain standing. I think. But Billy and the woman, I'm assuming is the mysterious Gertie, are still 100 feet back and in danger of being dropped into the ocean. Should we go back for them? Should we go back for them? Taylor asks. 12 minutes left in chapter. What? Where's that coming from? I read the wrong part. Apparently, I didn't notice this before, but there's actually an amount of time left for the chapter. That's kind of weird. Anyway, I digress. When Billy sees us stop, he does the same. He waves us onward while bending over to catch his breath. Unlike Taylor and me, Billy is not on big on exercising or standing. This is more moving than he's done in years, and it's already taking a toll. As exhausted as he looks, he doesn't look worried. He either has more faith in the bridge's stability than I do, or he has suddenly developed a penchant for self sacrifice. As impressive as that would be, Billy is more useful alive as a martyr. Sorry, than as a martyr. Taylor and I aren't dolts, but Billy's mind is a unique resource. Whoever is attacking us is using tech beyond our current expertise, and we're going to need his brain to find workarounds. I beg your pardon, I don't have the best eyes. Dude, I say. I got this, he shouts back. Seriously? Taylor starts back down the bridge. Seriously, Billy says, standing up straight and then saying something to Gertie, who has stopped beside him and hasn't even broken a sweat. She nods, steps in front of him, and then crouches down in a butt-out position that is both awkward and somehow erotic. A flamingo presenting itself to its mates. Definitely a stripper. Whoa, I say, flinching back when Billy puts his hands on her shoulders. While I might normally find all this amusing in a way I'd never want my parents to know about, this is neither the time nor the place for a shag. Then he hops up, planting his full and not insubstantial weights on Gertie's back. Oh, Taylor and I shout in unison. I'm expecting the woman to faceplant with enough force to scrape her nose off, but she holds his girth like he's nothing more than a plucky homunculus. Then she starts running. Fast. Taylor and I kind of stand there in a stunned silence. The giant force field of doom was less of a surprise when that lady in the crying game had a Johnson. That was less shocking. This is like Moses parting the Red Sea level of insanity. I feel like I'm looking at a mythical beast, like if a pug and a unicorn had an in vitro baby in the womb of a velociraptor. Right? And a squash-faced, curly-tailed, winged dog just hatched from his egg. It's both worrying and magical. As Gertie runs between us with all the speed and vigor of Sea Biscuit, the bouncing Billy shouts, "Try to keep up, bitch!" I'm wondering why there's a stuttering. And then they're past, cruising toward the temporary safety of Portsmouth Island. What the fuck? I ask. Hell if I know. Can't be a stripper, right? Maybe a yoga instructor, Taylor offers. They have core strength, right? You couldn't have pulled that off, I say, watching them shrink into the distance. Look at them go! Taylor's eyes turn up to the sky. We really should try to keep up. We break into a run again. At our current pace, it will take a good 10 minutes to clear the bridge, which is important. Not only are we exposed and unarmed, we're also in what resembles a battle royale scenario. That means a few things. One, we have a small window of time to arm ourselves. Two, at some point, we're going to have company, most likely descending from above. Three, the glowing wall of orange death is going to eventually close in, consuming the bridge and anything else that touches it, including us. What are you thinking? Taylor asks minutes into our run. Billy and Gertie are now out of sight, having run down the road, past the entry gate, and back into the base. This can't be Chinese, I say. Hacker name or not, it's just too much. Too big. I mean, hell, they've only just launched their first aircraft carrier. How the hell could they have launched a network of satellites capable of beaming energy walls back down to Earth? They couldn't, he says. So, aliens then? Has to be. But why the gamer shit? All your base battle royale aliens are gamers? Despite our love for gaming and our defense of games as a legit form of storytelling, We both know they're not exactly the preferred format for Earth's intelligentsia. But we're not dealing with Earth's intelligentsia. I can't say that for some reason. We must be like an Explorer situation, I say. Huh? The Explorers, 80s movie, Ethan Hawke, River Phoenix. I'm astounded by his blank stare. Taylor is a little younger than me, but aside from millennials, who hasn't seen the Explorers? This gal. Ugh. There are these kids, and they. You know what? That doesn't matter. They encounter aliens whose sole experience with Earth has been television broadcasts. So they're expecting something a bit different than what they'd find. If these, I point to the sky, guys experience Earth through video games, then maybe they think this is normal for us, Taylor says. That this is how we battle. And that we do it 24/7 around the world. Well, I guess that's nice of them then, he says. What's nice? Waging battle in a way they think they'll understand even if they're wrong? Though I guess we understand it well enough. Well enough to win? My question is punctuated by the fact that we've been pushing ourselves, and I'm starting to get winded. I look at the countdown on my phone. Oh, someone tweeted, or someone mentioned, sorry. We're alive at the same time, duh. Okay, nice, thank you, Krakow's culinarian. Alright. Anyway, well enough to win. My question is punctuated by the fact that we've been pushing ourselves and I'm starting to get winded. I look at the countdown on my phone. 21 minutes left. I'm going to need a nap by the time this counter hits 0, and I'm still partially buzzed. Also me. If I don't get a good long drink of water soon, I'm going to get a hangover without ever drinking too much, which is just no fun at all. What's our win ratio? Taylor asks. In game? 2%. That ain't good. Most people never win, I point out, and the hackers almost always win. What about real life? We're both alive, so better, I say. He nods. Much better before we wound up here. He looks ahead. Damn, this is a long bridge. Before I can chime in with bitching of my own, the sound of a revving engine pricks my ears. I stumble to a stop, unsure if we're going to be run over by an alien car. Hands on my knees, sucking in air, I watch a Humvee smash through the base's gate and charge across the bridge, heading straight for us. I look over the bridge's side rail. The ocean churned far below, waves kicked up by the swirling wind. We'd probably survive the drop, but the swim wouldn't be easy, and we're in North Carolina, so there are sharks. But I guess Jaws would be low on my list of things over which to shit myself. I relax a bit when the vehicle swerves into the next lane. The vehicle's headlights force me to squint until it pulls up beside us. The window slides down to reveal Gertie sitting behind the driver's wheel, looking like Jennifer Lawrence in a Vidal Sassoon commercial as she looks over, hair swooshing into perfect position. Billy sent me back for you. I head for the driver's side and wait for her to get out. The window drops down so Gertie can address me again. What are you doing? Driving, I say. I'm perfectly capable of... I'm totally not a sexist, I say, which makes me totally sound like a sexist, but you're not trained to handle a vehicle like this. And you're not a member of Space Force. So, you're wrong, she says, on both counts. Taylor climbs into the passenger seat. Who are you, then? She grasps her flight suit in a I'm about to dazzle you with my supple bust kind of way. Before I can protest, she yanks the zipper, gives way to her impressive strength, revealing her torso, which is far more impressive than I was expecting. Wow. It's all I can manage for a few seconds. Then I reach out for a feel. She swats my hand. No touching. But, I say, you're not human, right? She looks down at her brushed metal body, but like something out of a Terminator movie. Clothes, she looks as human as anyone else. Doesn't mean you can get all handsy. Now, get in before I leave your soft ass on the bridge. Okay, that was the end of chapter 9. Oakley dokley. Chapter 10, Stone. So, I say, looking Gertie up and down like a lecherous pig, sans the dirty thoughts. Billy built you? She nods. On his own? Another nod. How? I ask. That build something like Gertie together without any of us knowing is a bit of a mind-boggling. Where did he get the funding? I was a special directive, she says. From who? A special directive implies a person of power set up a black fund for Billy with the express purpose of creating a super hot AI-driven robot, though I suppose the super hot bit could have just been Billy's fantasies playing out in his work. The former president's. For what purpose? Taylor asks. You don't look like you were made for combat. The true purpose for my creation was shrouded in secrecy, but it doesn't take much imagination to figure out. Gertie looks at me, holding my gaze while having no trouble staying on the road. When she offers a faux smile, I see who she really looks like. Oh, that's... My face scrunches in disgust. Billy gave me the tools to defend myself, should the need arise, she says, and the free will to determine my own fate. Then you and Billy haven't... Taylor lets the question hang in the air for a moment. I mean, obviously you're unfinished, right? I can't believe you'd ask that question, I say with mock disgust as the vehicle pulls past the shattered, now guardless gate. But... I raise an eyebrow at Gertie. She grins, revealing her AI is not only very intelligent, but also somewhat witty. She seems to have no trouble picking up on the subtleties of our attempts at humor, and also isn't offended by them. Billy somehow descended into the uncanny valley and came out the other side with a humanoid robot who looks and feels human, until you see her without clothes on. Gertie slows the Humvee as we approach the parking lot, still full of moving trucks, their personnel, a handful of MPs, and General McNasty himself. They're all kind of bumbling around, looking up, somewhat mystified. I can't fault them for it. I'm sure the rest of the world is doing something similar, but it means the general and the men here under his command have no concept of what's going to happen when the timer hits 0. I glance at my phone. 18 minutes to go. When McNasty sees us coming, his body language says he's furious. The MPs react to his tirade by raising their M16s toward the Humvee and spreading out to cover us from all angles. Gertie brings the vehicle to a slow stop. You want me to handle them? Handle them? I ask. I don't need to kill them, if that's what you're worried about. She zips up her flight suit, hiding her metal body. I suppose you could distract them, maybe give us a chance to slip away. The maze of parked trucks should be easy to get lost in. If we can make it inside, we'd be impossible to find before the timer is up, and then I won't have to try reasoning with McNasty. When the space shit hits the fan, he'll have to listen to me. But don't make them shoot you. Would take more than a few bullets to... Step out of the vehicle with your hands up, McNasty shouts through a megaphone. Of course, hold on. Of course he's got a megaphone. It's like a prerequisite for power-hungry D-bags, because eventually people tune out a grating jabberjaw. You sure about this? I ask Gertie. You're the boss, she says. Say what? Now? I told you I'm a member of Space Force. You're my commanding officer. Technically, I point at McNasty, he's your commanding officer. He's my commanding popped ass implant. I snort. You definitely belong here with the rest of us. That's how I was made, she says with a wicked grin. Now, be ready. You'll know when it's time. Gertie pops open the door and slides out slides out with a smile plastered on her face. When all eyes turn toward her, I think whatever she's got planned might work. We're just 10 feet from the nearest tractor trailer. If she can just keep the attention off of us for just a few more seconds. You ready? I asked Taylor. Sure about this? I tilt my head toward the force field, which is casting everything in a kind of calm, sunset-like orange glow. It's the middle of the night, but it feels like dusk. Ready or not, they're coming in 17 minutes. Gertie looks back and winks, which I think is our signal to start moving. I open the door. When I step out behind the broad door, I note the MP's trance-like attention locked on Gertie. I can't help but look for myself, and I get equally lost in sight. Every time I think she's going to pull out that sexy, she goes in the other direction. Instead of batting her eyes and asking the group of men what all the fussy wussy's all about, she starts humming "Take on Me" by Aha and doing the best mates meme dance, jogging in place, bringing her knees up high with her upper arms jutting out and her dangling forearms swinging back and forth in time to her steps. Taylor stops too. What in the name of all that is holy? McNasty snaps out of his confused state, locks eyes with me, and flares his nostrils like Smog about to roast him some Bilbo. He stabs a meaty finger toward us. Arrest them! As soon as the M16s swivel toward us, our options are limited to just one. Give up. The MPs have likely never seen action, and as well trained as they might be, there is a chance one of them will flinch if we bolt. Fending off an alien invasion with a bullet hole in my back might be tricky. Gertie stops her dance and scoffs at us. How did you not get away? Gertie, you told me to distract them, and I did, she says, stepping toward the front of the Humvee while 3 MPs track her with their weapons. Not helping, I tell her. I was helping, but not another word, McNasty bellows. Not one more. He glares at Gertie until she sighs, rolls her eyes, and gently thumps her head in frustration against the Humvee's hood. Urgh! Then he turns his fire and fury on me, face red with anger. This was your doing, wasn't it? This? I say. You're gonna have to be more specific. This, he says, motioning to the force field with both hands raised. Are you implying I created a force field and am leading an alien invasion? He looks ready to implode. I know this is the wrong time to push the general's buttons, but it's hardwired. The man destroyed my career. He's like a sandpaper thong up my ass crack during a run. Irritating is what I'm trying to say. He takes out his phone, showing me the 15-minute timer still counting down. This, who's to say how long we might have had to respond to pick up to pick the best possible option? Was it you? If you're asking if it was Space Force, maybe, yes, but it wasn't me, and it was kind of an accident. McNasty looks a bit piqued. Accidents? Accidents? You have committed this base to some kind of arena of combat. The fate of the world at stake, and you're telling me it was an accident? Look at it this way. It could have been the ABDF who tapped their name acronym first. What is the ABDF? McNasty says, grinding his teeth, trying to control his nerves. Antigua and Barbuda Defense Force, Taylor says. They only have 150 active personnel. Oh my god, I whispered to Taylor. You so complete me. You know it, he says before we fist bump. And how many active personnel does Space Force have? McNasty asks. On base, I say. 3, Taylor says. 4, Gertie corrects. Okay, I say. I kind of see your point, but look at all these strapping young men. I motion to the MPs around us, who now just look confused. They have no idea what's happening. With a little help and guidance, they could... Help and guidance from who? The general asks. Whom? Gertie says. The general's IBS must be acting up because he convulses for a moment before reining himself in. From me, I say, sir, like it or not, we are now your, and this world's, best chance of surviving what's about to come. These are the most earnest words I've ever spoken to the man since he had removed me from the seals. His reaction to them is nauseating despair. He takes a step and pitches forward. When I take a step back, an eager young MP raises his rifle a bit higher. Just trying to get out of the line of fire, I say, as the general puts his hands on his knees and dry heaves a bit. After 3 empty regurgitations that sound like one of those made in Taiwan kids' toy groan sticks, McNasty wipes the drool from his mouth and attempts to compose himself. But he can't, because he's terrified. That's the real problem here. But I can't call him out on it. Not here, not now, because people who can't handle the stress of impending combat tend to make horrible choices. So I decide to implant one into his mind. I can explain everything, I say. Just don't throw us in the brig. Do it, he says, snapping his fingers at the MPs. To the brig, now. When the young MP says, move it, now, I motion my head for Taylor and Gertie to obey, and they do. With the young guard in front of us and 3 behind, we're led away through the parking lot. When we're out of sight and earshot of the general, the young MP turns around, looking a little sheepish, like an attractive Ryan Gosling. Yeah, I fucking said it. Gosling is a funny-looking SOB. The MP asks, you mind telling me where the brig is at? Alright, stand by. My foot's asleep. Damn it. My foot's asleep. Okay. Let me lean down. I can't have my foot falling asleep. What can I do to move this on? I need leverage. Okay, so essentially you're on a couch that is being used as a bed. Alright. 11 is Haley. There's nothing like pulling up to a wall of press in a school bus that's been severed in half by a blazing wall of light from space. Kind of like stepping out of a high school bathroom after having violent diarrhea to discover the snickering boys basketball team standing outside. Not that anything like that ever happened. I mean, it's oddly specific, sure, but overwhelming. It's overwhelming. The blazing lights, the commingling voices. How do I do this? It's an assault on the senses. Oh wow. Yeah, speaking of which, no one needs to see a bunch of face. Hold on. Maybe here? Okay, maybe better. Alright. It's an assault on the senses that leaves me speechless and dumbfounded until the wall of reporters crowding in realize I'm numb to them, or maybe having a stroke. A strange silence settles over the throng, surrounding the sorry, I'm struggling with this word. I got it now. A strange silence settles over the throng surrounding the disemboweled bus. I spot Quaid and an unapologetic-looking Ching sneaking out the back. As they round the crowd, Ching mouths, sorry, and then pantomimes a steering wheel in her hands. They're looking for a ride, which is a good idea, so I decide to not mentally flagellate them for abandoning me. When all I can hear is the gentle crackling of the orange force field, I start to relax and manage to look into the eyes of the nearest reporter, a blonde woman who looks like a Barbie doll, fake boobs, fake nose, and a plastic complexion. Excuse me. I might have a cold. She flashes an expensive smile and says, do you know what she was planning to tell you? I mean, he was talking about you, right? Why did I say she? No, he was planning to tell you. Anyway, huh, is the most articulate response I can come up with. Who? Captain Stone, she says, like I'm insane for not knowing what she's talking about. Because it sounded to me like he was about to. Lady, I say, and thrust my hand backward, back toward the wall of orange energy rising into the sky. So you're not going to say? She asks, and then lowered her mic. Brilliant. That's going to play well for the ratings. Build suspense and your audience will grow. You're doing great. She raises the mic again, but she's cut off by a man with a serious mustache and a matching unibrow. He strikes me as a serious newsman who might focus on the fact that Earth has likely been invaded by aliens and not on the love life of a disgraced Space Force pilot. Kurt Jasmine, Channel 7 News. Our polls show that 47% are more interested in the impending attack. That's a big number. Is it? I insert. Seems like that should be a solid 100%. The reporter's chuckle is so grating, I'm sure it's the reason he hasn't risen above the echelon of local news reporter. It occurs to me that the people gathered here aren't the best and brightest journalists the world has to offer. These are the gossip hounds come to gawk at the demise of Space Force. Stone's public speech whipped them into such a frenzy that they haven't stopped to consider that standing just outside ground zero of Earth's first hostile contact with extraterrestrials might not be a great idea. Of course, the collective IQ of these people might be equal to that of a dandelion, so... That's right, he continues. 52% are more concerned with Captain Stone's potential proposal. Proposal? I gasp at the notion, and my reaction draws the reporters in even closer. A zombie horde out to eat my brain and offer it to the media-numbed masses. That sounds like a no, Barbie says. There are literally aliens in space, soon to be down here, and you are more concerned with my love life? I'm addressing the reporters and whatever the buffoons took their poll at 1 in the morning. Wait, what is the other 1% concerned about? President West announced tariffs on... Chasman looks at a notebook. On Jesus, because there can only be one savior for humanity, and it's be him. I close my eyes and lower my head. Our new president isn't much of an improvement over the last, but he's mostly a figurehead, happy to let Congress govern the nation. That led to Space Force's demise, but I can't say I blame him. Until 15 minutes ago, Space Force was really just a big playset for a man-child. I can see that now, but that man-child was also right, somehow. If you ever want to find out what's going on between Stone and me, you need to get the word out that people should evacuate the area surrounding the force fields, I say. Do that, and I'll be the first to tell you what he was going to say when he says it. If we live. The reporters go silent for a moment, and then, as though controlled by a hive mind, they turn to their individual cameras and all say basically the same thing in unison. You heard it here first. Lieutenant Haley will dish out her steamy relationship with the hunky Captain Stone, but to make that happen, you folks need to get... I slink away, stepping up into the bus, and then out through the back. No one sees me or even notices I've gone until Chasman returns around to ask another question, lets out a squeal, and says, she's gone like a ninja. A second squeal makes me jump. A Dodge Charger stops in front of me. The passenger side opens from the inside and a familiar voice says, get in, honey. Leaning in, I can see Quaid and Ching in the back seat and our bus driver in the front seat, behind the wheel. Well, come on now, child. We gots to go. I climb in, slam the door shut, and I'm pinned to my chair back as the tires catch on the pavement and propel us forward. Reporters dive out of the way as our driver shouts, "Move your pale asses!" When we're clear of the scene and free of the reporters, Quaid pipes up from the back. "Pale asses?" "They was all white folks," our driver says. "Ain't no black folks got time for this shit." "You don't think that's, I don't know, racist?" She glances over her shoulder at Quaid. "You sure that's a rabbit hole you want to climb down into, Mr. Blonde Mustache?" "Now you're insulting the man's facial hair." Quaid's getting a little worked up. "Well, it does look a little like a cute little caterpillar crawled up on your..." I'm getting a little fucking tired of having to remind everyone that a disaster of cosmic proportions is about to break out. The car goes silent. "Apologies," our driver says, and then she offers a consolatory smile. "Name's Loretta. Of course it is. Sorry I left y'all on the bridge, but I knew we needed some faster wheels." "This is your car?" I asked. She forces a smile. "Let's just say Space Force commandeered it from a midlife crisis with legs." "You're not with Space Force?" "Well, no. I'm a Schuber." "Schuber?" Ching asks, leaning forward between the seats. "Like Uber, but for school buses." "Well," I tell her, "we definitely owe you. About 15 grand," she says. "School buses ain't cheap. I got bills to pay. It's not like I do this because it's fun or because I like talking to people." I wanted to tell her to send her bill to the aliens, but I don't want to risk her ire. She strikes me as a good woman, but also someone who's endured a lot and who's not about to put up with anyone's shit. "I'm sure," I say, about to tell her where to go, when I note that we're already en route. Ching must have told her. Loretta is used to commanding a lot of power on the road, and drives a charger with all the authority a several-ton bus grants. Cars honk as we force them into right lanes or off the road. Drivers and pedestrians, whose eyes are mostly turned up toward the sky despite the results of Chasman's poll, cuss us out as we roar past. That we don't kill anyone on our way to the Space Force launch pad is a small miracle. Maybe the Holy West is looking out for us. I'm expecting to be greeted at the gate by a guard, or maybe by some more of McNally's MPs, locking down Space Force sister site. But the small base, which consists of a single building, like a squat control tower, a lone hangar bay, and a patch of concrete, is devoid of life and power. The car slows as we approach the locked chain link fence. "This is where you all want to go?" It doesn't look like much. Aside from a generic "Keep Out U.S. Government Property" sign, there are no indications about what might lurk inside. I glance to the north. The orange spire jutting up into the air has shrunk, and is still easy to spot. I look west to see even thinner lines stretching up from Camp Lejeune and Cherry Points. Fort Bragg and Pope Air Force Base are even further in that direction, home to the U.S. Special Forces. They're too far away to see, but I'm guessing they're cloaked in orange light beamed down from the night sky, too. If any base stood a chance of fending off an alien invasion, it was them. Instead, it's us. The invaders have covered all the major bases, but smaller sites like the launch pad have either been overlooked or not deemed a threat, which is probably true. Hooray! "I think it's docked," Ching says. "Doesn't look docked? I don't know if I said docked. "I think it's locked," Ching says. "Doesn't look locked to me," Loretta says, and then she stomps on the gas. The car lives up to its namesake, charging into and through the fence. We race down the long drive, coming to a screeching, spinning stop in front of the control tower. Loretta does a little shimmy in her seat like she's got the chills. "Ooh, that felt good." When she notices all of us staring at her, she adds, "I drive a bus. Every day. 0 to 60 in minutes, not seconds. A girl needs to cut loose every now and again." I don't bother pointing out that Loretta is far from being a girl and old enough to be Chink's mother. She's got us here, though, and for that I'm grateful. And then, when Loretta climbs out of the car, uh, I'm confused. When no one follows her, she says, "Waiting for? And we got the world to save?" Quite leans forward. Is she serious? A sweet tea, Loretta says, demonstrating that she can drive and has keen hearing. Sweet tea is serious? Ching asks, getting a scoff out of Quaid. You Yankees, he says, shaking his head. I'm not going to do the southern accent. Is sweet tea serious? I step outside, looking over the launch pad I'd never actually used, pluck my smartphone from my pocket and dial Stone. He answers with "Hola" in the background. I hear some complaining about him using the phone. Who is that? I ask. MPs, he says. We're being taken to the brig. Space Force doesn't have a brig, I point out. Well, no duh, he says, but offers nothing more. Ah, I realize. The MPs don't know that. Don't suppose you have a plan yet, I say. I was kinda hoping you'd take care of the smart bit, he says to me, and then, seriously, if you try to touch me again, I will bitch slap you back into your mama's womb, and she's not going to be happy about having to pop you out again. I am on the phone. He clears his throat. MPs have no manners. Anyhow, we're going to try and stay alive in here. Call me back when you have a plan, okay? Great. Sure, I say deadpan. And Haley? What? Kisses. When he starts making kissing sounds on the phone, I hang up. Across the tarmac, the hangar bay both beckons to and intimidates me. I glance at the countdown on my phone. 10 minutes. Alright, I need to use the restroom. Stand by. I'll be right back. Oakley dokley, I'm better. Oh, sorry, I'm back. I'm back. Alright, so, sorry for keeping y'all waiting. I had to use the restroom. Blow my nose. Having allergies or whatever this is. Cold or allergies, I can't be sure. I'm vegan, so I generally don't get sick. I know it's gonna sound crazy. It just is. Alright, I'll let my foot fall asleep once more. As long as I can come back. Come on. There we go. Okay. I'm all sorted. Alright, whatever. I don't care. I don't care. Okay. Right. Not the best entertainment right now. Okay. My apologies. I suck. I do suck, guys. I do suck. My reading sucks. I'm not good company. But if you're lonely and you want someone to read to you, I guess I'm the best in a pinch. Alright. I'm going to do one more chapter, and then that'll be good for tonight, okay? Sound good? Okay. We're on chapter 12. It is stone. That's not going to win you any brownie points, Taylor says when I hang up the phone. I stop to take the call from Haley in a random beige hallway inside Space Command. We're in the base's central building, which houses officers' quarters, operations, administration offices, and an armory, the latter being my destination. She loves it. Famous last words of a soon-to-be emasculated man. Hello? The young P is aghast that I have totally disrespected his authority and taken a phone call despite his command that I don't. He's baffled as to why I'm not intimidated by him, not because his presence is commanding, but because he believes the weapon he holds speaks louder than his voice, which probably only stopped cracking in the past few weeks. I give the kid a once-over. He's clean cut, healthy and out of his element, probably pictured in a military police assignment on U.S. soil being a clean and easy ride to a GI Bill education, and now he's knee-deep in oily stink. Captain Suburbia, I say to him, and I'm appalled that he gives me his full attention. What's your name? Toby. Of course it is, I say with a sigh. Here's the situation. We're about to get bitch slapped by a bunch of who knows what from who knows where, putting a monkey wrench in the plans of the few people who might be able to keep you alive. The general gave me an order. It is my duty to follow it. Young men with Captain Suburbia buck up, showing their camaraderie via raised chins and smug looks. They're pushing it. Toby, I pocket my phone. I'm gonna forgive you for being a dick and for your name. You can't pick your commanding officer any more than you can pick the people who name you. I changed my name. God damn it, I whisper, pinching my nose. Okay. Here's the deal. The general is sending me to the brig because he doesn't like me. You're kind of a prick, says one of the other men, a skinny dude trying to hide the fact that he's getting off on this little power trip. But his Nick Nolte smile is hard to disguise. Actually, I say, it's because I slept with his daughter. The stunned silence and raised eyebrows say I've struck a chord. The slowly spreading smiles say that they've at least seen his daughter, and despite being at least 10 years younger, they are impressed. 3 times, I say, and the MPs start giggling. Holy shit, Toby says. That's awesome! I faked PTSD after arresting a drunk Marine just to lay on her couch, the tall fellow admits. And just like that, I've broken through the mental and emotional defenses of 4 young men. So as you can see, when it comes to me, the general isn't exactly thinking clearly, and right now, we need some really clear thinking. Do you know what's happening? Toby asks. You serious? Taylor asks. The lack of holy shit aliens are invading in the kid's eyes says he's clueless. Of course he is. The MPs don't carry phones and McNasty didn't tell them anything. How can I best explain this to a bunch of young men? You all gamers? I ask. Who isn't? Says the tall guy. I decide not to answer that question because to these young men, everyone is a gamer to some extent or another. And he's right. There aren't many people who don't game these days on PCs, consoles, or handheld devices, but that doesn't mean they're gamers. Battle Royale, I ask. PUBG, Fortnite, Ring of Elysium, Mavericks. Yeah, of course. What's your... Toby's eyes widen. He's getting the picture. That's what's happening here. That orange wall thing, it's a dead zone. Holy shit, says the shortest of the bunch, whose uniform looks a little too big. This is awesome! While the young man in me agrees that this is totally fucking awesome, the adult version of me, who is the actual me and knows countless lives are at stake, says, not awesome. We have... I pull out my phone again and reveal the countdown on the screen. 6 minutes before the drop starts. That's a very small head start to get the weapons and gear we need to fend off a large-scale assault on this base and an unknown enemy. And if we don't, Gertie says, every man, woman, and child on this planet will likely die. Horribly. What? Toby says, voice quivering. What are you doing? I grumble at Gertie. Motivating them, she says. They were motivated, I whisper. Now they're pissing themselves. She glances at her pants. I don't see any moisture leakage. Then to the MPs, are you all wearing diapers? Look, I say loudly, enough to reassert myself as the captain of the sinking vessel of a conversation. Do any of you know who I am? Captain Stone, Toby guesses. Yes, so the general called you, among other things. Are you a SEAL? Asked the fourth man of the team MP. He's a bit squirrely looking, with big bulging eyes, constantly wary for something that hasn't shown up yet. Kind of like a less handsome Michael Cena. I saw your profile on the Daily Show. Oh, they did you on SNL, the tall one says. That's Choate. That's what now? Choate, the tall MP says. Means it's good. Since when? Some weird science fiction novel a few years back, Taylor says. You're aware of this? He shrugs. Aware, but in denial. The novel became a bestseller, but its true lasting legacy was Choate. You know, a choate is a penis that is wider than it is long, I say. Taylor scratches his head. Is that even possible? I thought that word was chode. So correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought it was chode. But this word says choate. Anyway, how is that a good thing? Gertie asks. It's like saying something is bad when it's good, Toby says. The off-topic conversation is putting him at ease. Who says that? Gertie asks. People in their early 90s, I explain. The 80s, sorry, not their early 90s, but in the early 90s. I explained. The 80s kind of left everyone in a neon stupor. It was kind of confusing time. No one says it anymore. So bad means bad again, and chote means good? Gertie ponders this for a moment, grows serious, and says, this is a slippery slope of a discussion. We have just 5 minutes remaining. Right, I say. Back to the pep talk that will hopefully result in our movement being unhindered from here on out. Recognize me now? I ask, and then in the more energetic voice of my in-game persona, I say, I want you maggots to hit the LZ ASAP. Tangos at my 6 are lit up, soldier. Eyes widen with recognition. Captain Stone! Castle! Toby says. In the flesh, I say, a trace of my online voice remaining. And if anyone can handle an IRL battle royale situation, it's me. Toby and his MP mates have a debate with their eyes, all of them unsure, but ultimately deferring to Toby, their de facto leader. What should we do? You know how this works. I mentally guesstimate the number of human beings now on base being around 50. 50 v 50. Winner take all. We're in it to win it, boys. In a battle royale, that means staying alive. Nothing else matters. Don't keep track of your kills. Don't get competitive. Right, Toby says. Last man standing. Last race standing, Gertie says. These are aliens we're facing. Her words paled the young men once more. Look! I placed a hand on Toby's shoulder. Spread the word. Squad up. Find a defensible position. We'll handle the rest. My plan doesn't exactly put him at ease, but he nods like a toy woodpecker sliding down a pole. Now move it, soldier! All 4 MPs flinch and strike out the way we came, weapons raised, moving in formation like they're a bona fide SEAL team. We'll handle the rest? Taylor asks when they take a left turn where they shouldn't have. You know, I put on this optimism for you, and you can't even say it looks good on me. Wait, Gertie says. I've baffled the robot. Shocker. You're wearing optimism? It's a metaphor, I say. Oh, I see. Gertie rubs her hands over her thighs like she's proud of her wardrobe. Well, I'm wearing "You're all going to die," she smiles. That when Taylor and I stare at her, wearing grumpy cat frowns, she holds up an index finger and waggles it back and forth. Tick-tock. Running away from Gertie's discouragement and toward the armory, Taylor and I find our stride again. Don't listen to her, I tell him. This is what we do. This is what we've always done. Find the enemy and shoot them dead. Actually, I mostly made friends with local people, recruiting and training them to defend themselves, but sure, death and destruction. Let's do it. We arrive at the armory a moment later, only to find the door locked. Of course it's locked. It's an armory. Maybe we can pick the lock? Taylor asks. Look out, Gertie says, grasping the door handle, which dents under her fingers. With a quick yank, the door is torn open, giving us access to the armory within. It's not quite Neo's fantasy armory from the Matrix, but there are more guns and ammo than a brouhaha in Alaska, the most rooted and tooted state in the Union, despite what Texas would have you believe. With just minutes to spare, we make short work of arming up, snagging some high-tech gear, and gathering a small arsenal. Gertie does the same, sands the armor, which I suppose doesn't need, and then she fills a backpack with enough spare ammo, magazines to gun down an army of Smurfs. I mean, the imaginary army in this scenario could be any army, but I just really hate Smurfs. I mean, Papa Smurf is okay, but fucking Brainy. He tilts the scales of imaginary justice toward making blue-smeared genocide not just palatable, but intoxicating. One minute, Gertie declares, standing by the door, HK-416 assault rifle in hand, heavy backpack over her shoulders. Good to go? I ask Taylor. He thumps a fist bump against his armored chest. Level 3 everything, baby. I nod my approval. I want to see this. I head for the door, with Taylor on my heels. We move toward the rear entrance, which is much closer, and barrel at the orange glow of a force field illuminated night. The back of the building is a manicured garden of concrete walkways, staircases, and planters full of lush plants around the world. It's a relaxing place to hang out, but it does nothing to ease my tension in regard to the impending alien invasion. 10 seconds, Gertie says, and we look skyward. When my mental countdown hits 0, I say, I don't see any. The shrill scream of 1,000 babies mixed with the wail of David Lee Roth having his nuts clenched in the hippo's jaws fills the air like a klaxon. It drops me to my knees, hands over my ears, grunting for no one to hear. No fair. Alright. So that's the end of chapter 12. And I'm done for the night. So if you enjoyed it, awesome. If not, oh well. This is just so that I could practice speaking because I lack the ability to come off clearly. Also, I have a cold, so that's just exacerbating things. Alright. How are you? No, really, how are you? The 2 viewers I have right now. Doing okay? I don't see any comments, so I'm going to assume Yes, no, maybe, I don't know. Can you repeat the question? Alright. Well, I'm gonna head out and I guess I'll make a video tomorrow. Y'all have a good night. Bye bye.